The Tier 9 plasma training array just locked onto a live cadet, and commands screaming about protocol violations while the humans still standing in the kill zone twirling a wooden stick. Commander Zilax felt his primary heart seize as the holographic display erupted in crimson warnings. Every sensor in the Academy's main combat arena screamed the same impossible message: lethal force authorized. Live fire engaged. Safety protocols offline. "Shut it down!" Zilax roared at his tactical officer, Kaldra, whose 6 manipulator appendages were already dancing across 3 separate control interfaces. "Shut down the entire grid." "Attempting override, Commander." Kaldra's voice cracked with panic. "The system's not responding. It's locked in combat mode. Full lethal discharge in 40 seconds. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. Zilax's eyes fixed on the arena floor where Cadet Emma Johnson stood in the center of the targeting zone, completely alone, examining the wooden training staff they'd issued her with what appeared to be mild curiosity. The human had requested something basic for her combat qualification, and the quartermaster had found an old ceremonial practice weapon from the Dendari culture. Solid wood, roughly 2 meters long, absolutely useless against plasma weapons. "Get her out of there!" Zilax slammed his fist against the emergency broadcast control. "Cadet Johnson, evacuate immediately. The system has malfunctioned." Emma looked up at the observation deck, gave a little wave with her free hand and called back, "What's that? Your speakers are kinda muffled up there." 35 seconds. The plasma turrets hummed to life around the arena perimeter. 47 weapons, each capable of generating directed energy bursts hot enough to melt through starship armor. The training array had been designed to test the reflexes of the galaxy's finest warriors, beings with natural armor plating, regenerative capabilities, or defensive shields. The plasma bolts were normally calibrated to training intensity, painful but not lethal. Now every single turret was charging at full combat power. "She doesn't understand the danger," Kaldra whispered, her thermal signature spiking with fear. "Commander, that human's biology can't survive even one direct hit. The heat will vaporize her instantly." "I'm aware of human fragility, tactical officer." Zilax's claws scraped against the console as he frantically cycled through emergency protocols. Every single override was failing. The system wasn't just malfunctioning, it was actively rejecting their commands. "What about the kinetic barriers?" "Offline. The whole safety grid is down. It's like the system decided this is a real combat scenario." 20 seconds. Zilax could see the plasma chambers glowing now, visible even from the observation deck. The air in the arena shimmered with pre-ionization. Standard Academy protocol required immediate facility evacuation when the Tier 9 array reached full charge. The energy discharge was enough to level a small building. "Emma Johnson!" Zilax's translator strained to convey his urgency. "You are in lethal danger. Move to the exit immediately." Emma tilted her head, squinted at the glowing turrets surrounding her, and shrugged. "Oh, are we starting? Cool. I thought maybe you guys were still setting up." She settled into a relaxed stance, wooden stick held loosely in both hands. "Just holler when you're ready." "She thinks this is part of the test," Kaldra breathed. "By the ancestors, she thinks we're doing this deliberately." 10 seconds. "Emma, this is not a test. The weapons are set to kill." Zilax was screaming now, abandoning all military protocol. Behind him, the observation deck's doors burst open as senior weapons instructor Jotaro rushed in, followed by 3 emergency response teams. "What in the 17 hells is happening?" Jotaro demanded. "Catastrophic system failure with a human cadet in the kill zone," Kaldra reported, her voice hollow. "Full lethal discharge in 5 seconds." Jotaro's eyes widened. "A human? Get her out of there! Their bodies can't even withstand a training-level shot." "She won't evacuate. She thinks it's the test." "Well, stop the test." We can't. 3 seconds. Emma Johnson twirled the wooden stick once, experimentally, like a majorette with a baton. She looked relaxed, almost bored. 2 seconds. Zilax closed his eyes. In 847 years, the Academy had never lost a cadet to training equipment failure. The human would be the first. Her species had been so excited to join the Galactic Coalition, so eager to prove themselves, and now they'd killed one of their cadets with malfunctioning weapons in front of a live-streamed audience. 1 second. The first plasma bolt fired. Zilax opened his eyes just in time to see Emma Johnson casually step sideways and deflect the superheated plasma blast with her wooden stick. The bolt ricocheted off the stick at a perfect angle, splashed against the arena's reinforced wall, and dissipated harmlessly. "What?" Kaeldra whispered. Emma shifted her weight, brought the stick around in a smooth arc, and deflected the second plasma bolt, then the third, then the fourth and fifth simultaneously, moving the wooden staff in a figure-8 pattern that seemed almost lazy in its efficiency. "That's not possible," Jotaro said flatly. "Plasma doesn't ricochet. It's energy, not a solid projectile. And wood certainly can't deflect it. The stick should be vaporizing." Emma was now deflecting plasma bolts at a rate of approximately 2 per second, her movements economical and precise. The wooden stick remained completely intact. "I'm reading temperatures of 47,000 degrees at point of contact," Kaeldra reported, her voice numb with shock. "That weapon should be ash. That human should be dead. This violates 9 fundamental laws of thermodynamics." More turrets activated, 10 bolts per second now, coming from multiple angles. Emma spun the stick overhead, creating what looked like a simple umbrella pattern. Every plasma bolt deflected away harmlessly. "Shut down the array," Zilax ordered again, because what else could he say? "Still trying, Commander. The system's completely locked." Kaeldra slammed her appendages against the controls in frustration. It's like it's become sentient and decided to keep firing. Down in the arena, Emma called up cheerfully, "Hey, is this supposed to get harder? Because I'm getting the hang of it." 15 turrets active now. 20 bolts per second. The human was essentially standing in the center of a plasma storm, and she was deflecting every single shot with a piece of wood. "Get me weapons analysis," Jotaro snapped. "I want to know what that stick is made of." "It's wood, Instructor," Kaeldra replied. "Actual plant-based cellulose. Scans confirm organic material. No enhancements, no shielding, just wood." "Then how?" "I don't know." Kaeldra's thermal signature was spiking into the panic range. "None of this should be possible. The human is deflecting directed energy weapons with an unshielded wooden implement while standing in temperatures that should be cooking her alive." Emma laughed. It echoed through the arena speakers. "You know, this is actually pretty similar to baseball practice. Except the balls are glowing and trying to kill me, but the timing's about the same." "Baseball," Zilax repeated weakly. 25 turrets now. The arena had become a light show of plasma fire, bolts crossing and recrossing in patterns designed to be mathematically impossible to evade. The human should have been hit 47 times by now. Emma was humming, actually humming a tune while deflecting weapons fire that could sink a battleship. "Commander," Kaeldra's voice had gone very quiet. "The system just activated another 17 turrets. We're now at full array capacity, 47 weapons firing at maximum combat velocity." "Can she survive that many?" Zilax asked, even though he already knew the answer was no. Nothing could survive that. They'd used the full array exactly 3 times in Academy history, and each time was to test whether new armor designs could withstand sustained capital ship-level weapons fire. "Sir, she shouldn't have survived the first shot." The arena erupted. 47 plasma turrets firing simultaneously created a sphere of overlapping energy discharge. The temperature readings spiked beyond the sensor's measurement capacity. The reinforced observation windows automatically polarized to prevent retinal damage. Through the glare, Zilax could just barely make out Emma Johnson's silhouette. Still standing, still moving, wooden sticks spinning in patterns that seemed to anticipate where each plasma bolt would be before it fired. "This is beyond impossible," Jotaro breathed. She's not just deflecting randomly, she's predicting the firing patterns. But there are no patterns. The Tier 9 array uses quantum randomization to ensure unpredictability. Maybe it's not as random as we thought, Emma called out, still audible somehow over the roar of plasma fire. She sounded slightly winded but otherwise unconcerned. There's definitely a pattern. It's like... Okay, so each turret has this little tell before it fires. You can see the ionization buildup about 0.3 seconds early, and then the plasma itself telegraphs the trajectory based on the magnetic containment field's alignment. You just have to read the pre-fire signature and position accordingly. Every alien in the observation deck stared at her. The pre-fire signature is measured in microseconds, Kaeldra said faintly. Human neural response time shouldn't be fast enough to... Oh, and the quantum randomizer you guys use? Emma continued, deflecting another 6 bolts in rapid succession. Super predictable, actually. It cycles through the same pseudo-random seed pattern every 14 seconds. I've counted like 3 cycles already. Whoever programmed this must have used a Mersenne twister or something similar. Really common in games back home. You just have to track the sequence. Jotaro made a sound like air escaping from a deflating balloon. She just explained the flaw in our most advanced weapons targeting system, Zilax said slowly. The system that cost 40 billion credits to develop. The system that was mathematically proven to be unpredictable. While actively deflecting its fire, Kaeldra added, with a stick. A wooden stick, Jotaro corrected numbly. Emma shifted into what looked like a different stance, more aggressive. Hey, can I try something? I think I can get these bolts to hit each other if I angle this right. No, Zilax shouted. Do not. Too late. Emma deflected 2 plasma bolts directly into each other's paths. They collided mid-air, and the resulting explosion of canceling energies created a feedback pulse that surged back through the magnetic containment fields. 6 turrets immediately shut down. She just weaponized the plasma against itself, Kaeldra whispered. That's not a documented tactic. That shouldn't work. The magnetic fields should prevent bolt collision. Should being the critical word, Jotaro muttered. Emma was grinning now, clearly enjoying herself. She started deliberately angling her deflections to cause more plasma collisions. Each collision knocked out more turrets as feedback surged through the system. Within 30 seconds, she'd reduced active fire by half. Emergency evacuation! A new voice boomed through the facility. Academy Commandant Vex Thule stormed onto the observation deck, followed by what appeared to be the entire senior staff. Why is the Tier 9 array active? Why are there no safety protocols? And why is there a human cadet in the... He stopped mid-sentence as he caught sight of the arena. Emma Johnson stood in a gradually clearing field of fire, wooden stick resting casually on her shoulder, surrounded by the cooling remains of dissipated plasma. Only 12 turrets were still active, and she was systematically shutting them down by causing feedback cascades. What? Vex Thule said. Am I looking at? Sir, we experience catastrophic system failure, Zilax reported, his voice still not entirely steady. The array activated at full combat power with Cadet Johnson inside. We've been unable to shut it down. She's been handling it. Handling it. Yes, sir. With a wooden stick. Yes, sir. For how long? Kaeldra checked her chronometer. 4 minutes and 37 seconds, sir. Vex Thule stared at the arena. Emma had just shut down the last turret by deflecting its bolt directly back into its own charging chamber, causing it to cycle into emergency shutdown. The arena fell silent except for the cooling clicks of overheated equipment. Emma stretched, rolling her shoulders. Whew, that was a pretty good workout. Are you guys going to add more turrets, or was that the whole test? She examined her wooden stick, turning it over in her hands. Huh, not even singed. Good quality wood. Cadet Johnson, Vex Thule's voice echoed through the arena speakers. Please report to the observation deck. Sure thing. Did I pass? Nobody answered. They were all still trying to process what they'd witnessed. Emma bounded up the stairs to the observation deck with unsettling energy for someone who'd just survived 4.5 minutes in a plasma kill zone. She arrived slightly flushed, still carrying the wooden stick, and offered a cheerful smile. "So, how'd I do? I know I probably should have stuck to just blocking, but the whole deflection feedback thing was too cool not to try. Sorry if I broke any turrets." Zilax opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. Jotaro found his voice first. "Cadet, that was not a test. The system malfunctioned. Those weapons were set to full lethal power. We tried to evacuate you." Emma blinked. "Wait, seriously? I thought you were just doing really good combat voice acting. You guys sounded super panicked." She paused. Oh. Oh shit, you were actually panicked. This was real?" "Yes," Vex Thule said heavily. "Extremely real. Those weapons should have killed you within the first 3 seconds. Huh, Emma looked down at her stick. Well, that's kind of terrifying in hindsight. But it wasn't that hard? I mean, once you figure out the pattern and the pre-fire timing, it's basically like hitting fastballs, which I did a lot in high school softball, state champions 3 years running." She said this with clear pride. "Softball," Kaldra repeated. "You're comparing our most advanced weapons array to a children's game? Hey, softball's not just for kids." "And yeah, I mean, same principle. Fast-moving projectile, you gotta track it. Predict where it'll be, intercept at the right angle. These plasma bolts are actually slower than a good pitcher's fastball, and they glow, which makes them way easier to track." "Slower than..." Jotaro made a strangled sound. "Those bolts travel at 18,000 meters per second. "Yeah, but they have that tell before they fire, remember? So you've got 0.3 seconds to react. A fastball gives you about 0.4 seconds from release to plate. This is actually easier because the ball is glowing and leaves a trail." Emma shrugged. "Plus the wooden stick, works better than the high-tech stuff probably would. Wood's got this nice flex that absorbs some of the impact. A rigid metal rod would probably shatter from the thermal shock." Every alien in the room was staring at her. "You're saying," Vex Thule spoke slowly, carefully, "that primitive wooden implements are superior to advanced composite materials for deflecting plasma weapons. For this application?" "Yeah, totally. Composite materials are too rigid. They can't flex with the energy transfer. Wood's got natural grain structure that distributes force really well. Plus it's slightly porous, which probably helps with heat dissipation. I mean, I'm not a physicist or anything, but that's my guess." "She's not a physicist," Zilax muttered to himself. "Of course she's not a physicist. She's a human who plays softball." Emma brightened. "Oh, you guys want to see something cool? I noticed your targeting system's got that seed pattern flaw, right? If I could get access to the code, I bet I could patch it in like 20 minutes. Just need to implement a true random number generator instead of pseudo-random. Easy fix." "Easy fix," Jotaro echoed weakly. "Our science team spent 6 years developing that targeting algorithm," Kaldra said, her voice hollow. "And you're saying you can improve it in 20 minutes. I mean, probably? I did a lot of coding in high school, made a few games, learned about RNG and stuff. Your system's probably just using a basic algorithmic randomizer when you should be pulling from hardware entropy or quantum fluctuation. Way more random that way." She said this with the casual confidence of someone discussing sandwich preferences. Vex Thule sat down heavily in the nearest chair. "Let me see if I understand. The human cadet defeated our most advanced training system using a wooden stick and her experience playing softball. And now she's offering to repair the system's fundamental design flaw, which our top scientists couldn't identify, using knowledge from making games as a child." "Yeah, pretty much," Emma smiled. "So did I pass the combat qualification, or do I need to do something else? Fair warning, I'm not great with flying maneuvers. I get motion sick really easily." "You passed," Zilax said numbly. "You passed everything, all the combat qualifications, forever. You never need to take another test." Awesome. Where's the cafeteria? I'm starving. Does this place have anything like pizza? I've been dying for decent pizza since I got to space. As Emma wandered off, still carrying her wooden stick and asking random staff members about food options, the senior command staff remained frozen in the observation deck. What? Kaeldra said eventually. Just happened? Vex Thul leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. I believe we just discovered that humans have been training to fight plasma weapons for generations without realizing it. Their recreational activities apparently involve deflecting high-velocity projectiles with primitive implements. Softball, Jotaro said, testing the word. A game. They play a game that teaches plasma weapon deflection. And their children code quantum randomization fixes for fun, Kaeldra added. Zilax was reading something on his datapad, his expression growing increasingly concerned. I just looked up human sports. Commanders. There are dozens of games involving hitting fast-moving objects with various implements. Baseball, cricket, hockey, tennis, lacrosse, badminton. They have entire categories of recreational activities based around deflecting and redirecting projectiles. And the stick worked better than our composite materials because wood has organic flexibility, Jotaro murmured. Meaning, humans accidentally discovered the optimal material for plasma deflection while they were still using stone tools. Sir, Kaeldra pulled up a holographic display. I'm seeing reports from other coalition facilities. Humans have been submitting improvement suggestions for dozens of systems. Everything from weapons targeting to shield harmonics to faster-than-light navigation calculations. How many suggestions have been implemented? Vex Thul asked. None yet, sir. They're all still in review because they seem too simple to work. Check them. Kaeldra's appendages flew across the controls. Several minutes passed in silence as she ran simulations. Her thermal signature steadily climbed. Sir, she said finally, every single human suggestion works. And not just works. They improve system efficiency by an average of 47%. The weapons targeting alone would revolutionize combat doctrine, and they're all based on what humans describe as common sense or basic problem solving. Vex Thul closed his eyes. We've spent the last 3 centuries developing increasingly complex solutions to problems that humans solve with what they call common sense. And wooden sticks, Zilax added helpfully. And wooden sticks, Vex Thul agreed. Commander Zilax, please prepare a full report for Coalition Command, include complete sensor logs, analysis of the wooden implement, and Cadet Johnson's suggestions about the targeting system. What should I title it, sir? Humanity's Approach to Plasma Weapons, Why We've Been Doing It Wrong for 3,000 Years. Vex Thul stood up slowly. And someone get me a requisition for wooden training implements. If we're going to properly train with humans, we apparently need to start with primitive materials. Sir, what about the other cadets? Jotaro asked. They're going to want to know why the human got a wooden stick when they all have plasma shields and composite armor. Tell them the truth. The human didn't need advanced equipment because she brought her own advanced training. She's been preparing to fight plasma weapons since she was approximately Cadet Johnson. Vex Thul called down to the arena floor where Emma had returned, apparently looking for something. How old were you when you started playing softball? Like 6, I think. My dad got me into it. She's been training since age 6, Vex Thul confirmed. Approximately 15 years of daily practice deflecting high-velocity projectiles. Down in the arena, Emma had found what she was looking for, a small data chip that must have fallen from one of the control panels during the chaos. She picked it up, examined it, then stuck it in her pocket, and headed toward what she'd finally identified as the cafeteria entrance. Also, Vex Thul continued, we need to review human recreational activities and determine which other games might have military applications we haven't considered. Sir, they have something called dodgeball, where children throw projectiles at each other and practice evasion, Kaeldra reported, reading from a human cultural database. Of course they do, Jotaro muttered. and laser tag, where they simulate weapon combat for fun, and paintball, which is similar but with projectile markers, and something called parkour, where they practice rapid three-dimensional navigation through complex environments. They've been running combat training simulations for entertainment, Xilax said wonderingly. Their entire species treats warfare preparation as recreational activity. Not warfare preparation, Vexthul corrected. They don't see it as warfare preparation. To them, it's just fun, which might explain why Cadet Johnson seemed so relaxed during what we perceived as a lethal situation. Because she literally does this for fun, Kaldra finished. Far below, Emma Johnson pushed open the cafeteria door, still carrying her wooden stick. The few cadets inside stopped eating to stare at her and the primitive weapon she carried. "Hey," she called out to a Voltarian cadet. "You guys have anything like pizza here, or at least something with cheese and bread?" The Voltarian pointed mutely toward the human-compatible food section. "Awesome, thanks." Emma propped her wooden stick against the wall, grabbed a tray and started loading it with food, humming the same tune she'd hummed while deflecting plasma fire. Up in the observation deck, Vexthul was composing the most difficult report of his career. How did you tell the Galactic Coalition that the newest species to join their ranks had been accidentally preparing for space combat while playing children's games? How did you explain that a wooden stick was superior to composite armor? How did you admit that humans saw obvious patterns in systems the galaxy's best scientists insisted were perfectly random? "Sir," Kaldra interrupted his thoughts, "what about the media? The whole incident was being live-streamed for the qualification records. Approximately 4 million beings witnessed Cadet Johnson defeat the Tier 9 array. With a wooden stick," Xilax added, because apparently that part needed to keep being emphasized. Vexthul pulled up the public feed. The comments section was extensive. "Is this real? Humans are terrifying. I'm buying stock in wooden weapon manufacturers. New coalition doctrine. Give everyone sticks. The stick isn't even damaged. Those are killing-level shots she's humming. I need to know what softball is immediately." "Well," Vexthul said, "I suppose the galaxy knows now." "Knows what, sir?" "That humans don't need our advanced technology because they've already mastered the basics so thoroughly that our complexity is actually a weakness." He paused. "And that wooden sticks are apparently the optimal plasma defense tool." Down in the cafeteria, Emma Johnson had found something approximating pizza and was eating it contentedly while reading something on her personal datapad. The wooden stick leaned against her table within easy reach, looking entirely ordinary, except for the fact that it had just survived temperatures that could melt starship hulls. A group of cadets from various species approached her table hesitantly. "Cadet Johnson?" A Thanari spoke first, his voice uncertain. "We saw your qualification. That was incredible." Emma looked up, mouth full of alien pizza, and gave a thumbs up. After swallowing, she grinned. "Thanks. It was actually pretty fun once I figured out the pattern. Could you teach us? To deflect plasma bolts?" "Yes." Emma glanced at her wooden stick, then back at the cadets. "I mean, sure, I guess. It's basically just hand-eye coordination and pattern recognition. Do you guys have any games with balls or projectiles? That's really the best way to practice." "We have combat simulations," the Thanari offered. "Nah, not simulations, actual physical games. You need the real-world feedback to build proper reflexes." She thought for a moment. "Tell you what, I've got some old baseballs in my quarters and a couple of spare gloves. Meet me at the rec area in an hour and I'll show you the basics. Fair warning though, you're gonna get hit by the ball a lot at first." "That's part of learning." The cadets looked at each other, then nodded enthusiastically. As they dispersed to spread the word, Emma returned to her pizza and her datapad, occasionally twirling her wooden stick with one hand while eating with the other. Up in the observation deck, the senior staff watched this interaction play out on the security feeds. "She's going to teach them softball," Jotaro said. "Yes," Vexthul agreed. "Using primitive projectiles and leather hand coverings." Yes, and this will somehow improve their combat effectiveness. Based on what we witnessed today? Vexthul smiled slightly, the first time he'd done so in hours. Yes, I believe it will. Kaeldra pulled up training schedules. Sir, should I officially add softball to the academy curriculum? Add all human recreational combat activities: baseball, softball, dodgeball, hockey, tennis, and whatever else they're willing to teach. Start with voluntary sessions, but I suspect they'll be mandatory within a year once the other cadets see the results. And equipment, sir? Wooden sticks, Zilax suggested, still somewhat dazed. Lots of wooden sticks. And balls, Jotaro added. Various sizes and velocities, apparently. Make it happen, Vexthul ordered, and somebody find out what species of tree that stick came from. I want to know if we can cultivate it on Academy grounds or if we need to import from Earth. As the staff dispersed to implement these unprecedented changes to Academy protocol, Vexthul remained alone in the observation deck, watching Emma Johnson finish her meal and head toward the recreational area with her wooden stick over her shoulder and a spring in her step. In 847 years, the Academy had trained hundreds of thousands of warriors from thousands of species. They'd refined combat doctrine, advanced weapons technology, and pushed the boundaries of tactical theory. And then a human had shown up with a wooden stick and casual experience in children's games and revealed that they'd been overthinking everything. Vexthul's datapad chimed. It was a message from Coalition High Command, marked urgent. Explain the wooden stick incident immediately. Full details required. Multiple member species demanding explanation. Vexthul began typing his response, wondering how exactly to phrase, humans accidentally mastered plasma weapon defense while playing recreational sports, in a way that wouldn't get him committed for psychological evaluation. Down in the rec area, Emma Johnson was organizing her first informal softball clinic, teaching a group of alien cadets how to hold a bat and track a moving ball. Okay, so the key is to watch the pitcher's hand, not the ball itself, she explained, demonstrating her grip. You can predict the throw based on their wind-up. Same principle as reading those plasma turret pre-fire signatures, just with lower stakes and no death risk. A Krellian cadet raised his primary manipulator. What happens if we miss? You get hit by the ball, it stings for a minute, and then you try again. That's how you learn. Emma tossed a ball up and caught it with practiced ease. My dad always said the best teacher is failure. You miss 100 times, you figure out how not to miss the 101st time. The cadets exchanged glances, clearly uncertain about this teaching method that involved deliberately getting hit by projectiles. Emma just grinned and wound up for her first pitch. Batter up!